Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Icahn. Welcome to Tuesday's edition of Pre-Market Info.
S&P futures up 3 points here. Joel, overnight low 1662.75. We keep finding buyer in those mid 1660s, and we're trying to pop out of this area once again.
Yeah, yes, multiple lows. Last three or four lows right here in the 1662, 1665 quadrant here. Dipped there in the pre-market to 1662.75, but boom, 8 points above that. You got to respect that support level. I was just looking at the charts here from yesterday, and we had this mysterious sell-off intraday right around 2 o'clock. Brent talked about, Harry Reid perhaps making some comments. So very unusual sell-off for, just late in the day when we usually just are stagnant. But we're popping up right now, and I'm keeping an eye right here on the 1671 level. That's a mid-range from yesterday. So kind of a quiet rally here.
Bring up gold because gold is trading down just slightly here again. We've got Goldman comments, Jeffrey Curry over at Goldman, saying it's a slam dunk sell. Their target for next year for gold is 1,050, so 1050. Obviously, gold's trading at 1317. If that target did come to fruition, oh boy, all those little miners would be in a whole world of hurt because all of their production costs are kicking around 1,000 to 1,100. So all of a sudden, most of those miners wouldn't make money. I don't know if I see that happening or not, but it's hung out this 1,300 level for quite a while here, and Goldman is bearish.
What's he basing it on? Macros or what?
Well, he was saying something to do. Obviously, the shutdown comes back, and he thinks the economy actually going to turn around, and gold being the defensive trade that it is not going to be needed. I think a little bit of that to do with it all. I didn't read all the report, just the
Okay.
headlines, but I think that's a little bit to do with that.
Okay, well, the bullion's coming off, a series of higher lows here in the market. Just been running all kinds of trouble in the 1320 handle. Hit 2950 yesterday. So far 2820 in today's session. 26 even on Friday. So you are getting a nice resistance point here to, if you are going on that Goldman trade here. Looking at the resistance, swing trade, give yourself some room here. But boy, 1330 just seems to be the level. Coming back on the downside here, three lows between 02 and 0790. So consolidation kind of on both sides here. But until we break below 1300 here, still looks like gold's trying to put a little bit of a bottom in.
Go to crude here too. We've been trading here and we're approaching resistance on the crude. We're trading up at 103.63 here, but this whole 104 area, this has been a little bit tough and a struggle here for crude to get over.
Yeah, nice rebound yesterday. Couldn't quite get back into that 104 handle. I mean, I like these formations. 103.94 is the high on today's session. You got over yesterday's high, but I'm still looking at those three highs between 104.19 and 104.38. Until you can bust through there, selling pressure is still on crude.
JC Penney's trading up here in the pre-market. They've provided an update on the progress of their turnaround. Their sales were only down 4% last month. I guess that's good news. JCPenney.com sales up 25%, so I guess that is good news. Expect their year-end liquidity to be over $2 billion, so they're saying, they're obviously not in liquidity problems here either. Before this update, Stern AG had actually downgraded the stock, lowering their price target from 18 to 9, which is interesting because the stock's down at 771 and they're downgrading up, but the price target is still higher than obviously where it is right now. It's just kind of playing catch up is what Stern AG is doing because they had that ridiculously high price target. But the JC Penney here looking pretty good in the pre-market.
Right, hit a pop here. 843 was the high in the pre-market. Kind of just a little bit of a pullback after that level. After we hit the 842, we've traded down as low as 807. So I use those as a couple parameters to look at. If you go to the daily charts here, Dennis, 851, that was the high on Friday. I'd look at that as a major resistance. the pre-market high coincided with that. So 840, 850 major resistance, and now that you got this bump up here, $8, I think you'll see some bids starting to form at the $8 level. Hey Dennis, before we go into the next issue here, we got a question here from Rin Tin Tin. And sometimes these questions go flying by and I miss them. But this is a complicated one, so I'm going to throw this to you.
Uh-oh.
And, how does the market react if China balks again on U.S. debt, and this time they fail to buy the Treasury auction this week?
Oh, you're throwing me really under the bus here, Joel. I'm not a fundamental analyst. I'm a technical
Okay.
analyst, and I'm not even going to speculate on how China is going to impact the SPOOs, whether it is even going to impact the SPOOs, because I think when you try to analyze markets from a fundamental perspective here, you can get an overall view of maybe where you think it's going, but it's not going to help you in the next trading day.
Okay.
Obviously immediate fundamental news, which is why we always cover the immediate fundamental news, impact stocks. But trying to speculate on how China's going to impact the SPOOs, I can't even guesstimate, how that's going to affect it. All I can tell you is the S&P futures here are up 2.5 this morning. We've got good support down in those mid 1660s,
Okay.
and my bogey, and if you're looking a little bit longer term out, is that 1662.75 low that we had today. We start taking that out here. We have bottomed multiple times in the 1660s. We start taking 1660 out, and I think
Yep.
the market could be in a little bit of trouble.
Right.
Just
I concur. I concur on that. I mean, if there's any kind of talk on China not buying our debt, you know that there's going to be a huge flush out in this
Oh,
market.
that's
There's
just
no doubt.
scary. I
There's no
mean,
doubt. So I
yeah.
can answer that question. The 1662 level, okay, 62.75. You just talked about that. That's the area that I'm looking at. We are holding it. It is support, okay, support is support until it's broken. Now, if you go to the dailies here, because you also had a 1662.50 low going back a few months or at the beginning of September. Now below that, you got an area down to 1645.50. So that's what the effect of looking for it if we go through that level. It could be the China debt, it could be Harry Reid, it could be Syria, whatever it is. You have to look at the levels and how the market's going to react if it goes through those levels.
We got Carl Icahn pushing stocks around again. This is his new way of pumping his stocks, his Twitter. Yesterday, after the bell, Talisman TLM, he comes out, discloses 61 million share position, obviously pumping his Talisman, and everybody chases it as always. It's traded over 1 million shares here this morning, which is absolutely huge volume for this issue. It's trading at 13.55 right now. Last night after hours, go to the after hours chart, this thing got up to 14.59. That is absolutely crazy considering this is a $12.75 stock. Carl Icahn comes out with a tweet, acknowledges a new position, and kaboom, it trades up to 14.59. It's come back into reality here. I think this 13.52 is a little bit better price here, where it seems a little more realistic, but definitely an overshoot by the market off that tweet.
Right, and kind of got a little. Well, look at that 14.59. We can obviously use that as a parameter here. Sold off hard to the 13.50 level, and now $14 seems to be the resistance level people are focusing on. Kind of hung up there in the pre-market. So keep an eye on 14 ahead of the 14.59 level in order to look at this chart, get the perspective on this move here. We have not traded up in this area for a long, long time. Traded over the $15 level.
July.
Back up.
September, actually.
I got, I got September of 2012. So above that 14.59, got that 15.21 level. But you may just want to wait for this one to come in back and fill, and as opposed to hopping on the Carl train. But kind of interesting here, Dennis, how you kind of got ahead of this news. Nice little rally in the stock.
Yeah, he accumulates his shares, kind of probably moves the stock price up because he is a mover and a shaker, and then he can announce it, and knowing that when he announces and discloses his position, it's going to pop even more. It must be nice to have that kind of power out there. It's hard to lose when you announce just that you own something and it pops 10%.
Well, you know he's not. I mean, you know he's not selling into it. I mean that
Usually
it's
he doesn't
because of.
do that,
Well,
obviously.
I don't think
Well,
he
well,
does.
we
I
don't
mean,
really
if you
know, I
do
guess,
that,
but
then he's gonna have the SEC knocking on his door. I don't, Carl.
yeah, he
I
holds
mean,
the
the
stuff.
tweets and
Even
stuff.
looking at
Yeah,
Netflix, like he says he hasn't even sold a share yet. And I mean, this stock's went from $50 to $321, and he was disclosing just a couple of weeks ago that he has not even sold one share. So I mean, you give him that, I guess. But it's not, he gets a good running start when he discloses his positions. And here's another one for you. Another Carl Icahn tweet this morning. Nuance Communications, which is NUAN. Carl Icahn tweeting here this morning. I'll just go grab the tweet for you. I can actually read it to you. Tweeting, we're happy to have reached an agreement with Nuance Communications where Dave Shetler and Brett Icahn will join the board of directors. I'm optimistic that their impact on NUAN will be similar to HAIN, where the stock went from 2020 to 79.56 over the 3 years they sat on the board. So basically, he's saying he sees this stock going up significantly from where it is right now, and the market has popped the stock 2% off of that tweet.
yeah. Before I forget, I just pulled up this Netflix chart and I couldn't get it. Yeah, I have to mention here this 318 level, three lows between 318.05 and 318.54, trading above that in the pre-market. But that's a new bogey here on the downside. Below 318, you can see some profit taking in Netflix. Always got to mention a formation like that. Nuance Communications, you said it was
NUAN.
yeah.
18 bucks has
Carl,
been absolutely incredible support for here for basically the last year. But now all of a sudden, we had a little downtrend going, but we're pulling up here, and we did top out at 1903 back on October the 1st. So I think that would be my first area of resistance if I'm looking at the charts. But there's multiple highs in the 1920s, 1930s, 1950s. This thing's going to be a thick ride up, I think.
yeah, spiked to 1910 in the pre-market here. Uh, had trouble at the $19 level a couple occasions, 1903 on the first. So let's see what happens here at this $19 level. And then you're right, it could thicken up. Look at all those highs between 1918 and 1922. So a couple resistance levels to keep an eye on Nuance Communications.
Your mic's a little bit low there, Joel. I don't know if you want to just
Oh, sorry
adjust it
about
a
that.
bit, but
Okay.
Joel, oh, that helps out a lot. Moving on here to some of the upgrades and downgrades. We've got some key ones here this morning. Procter and Gamble getting upgraded at Wells Fargo here, and wow, I will
Hmm.
tell you, Procter and Gamble's last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days trading range is eerily similar almost
Look at
every
that.
single day. What a weird formation.
Last four highs between 76.10 and 76.14,
Wow,
trading right there,
right
right
now.
now. So opening into resistance above there. I think things kind of open up. At least have a minor stopping point at 76.50, and then you could see the $77 level. But yeah, this thing's just coiling down here. So look for immediate follow through though through the 76.14 level. If you don't get that in a weak market here, you could just have another identical range day here. But love to see formations like that. That's a quadruple top there, and on the bottom you
Lots
have
of,
one, two,
yeah.
three, four, five, six lows within 30 cents.
Wow.
So very defined range in Procter and Gamble. I'll have to put that one on my sheet here to keep an eye on in early trading.
Wells Fargo also upgrading Avon products here this morning, which is symbol AVP. Stock trading at 2022 right now after closing at 1997. Had found support back in September in the mid 19s, but obviously we're bouncing here today. Where do you think this one's heading?
Huh. Spike up to 2039 in the pre-market. Not a whole lot here. 2022 is trading. Had a bad couple days here following off the 21 level. We are opening into resistance yesterday's high, so that's a minor. If you want to fade this upgrade, you could take a look at it this way. Also resistance at 2063, but not a healthy looking chart here for Avon. I don't think I think I would get too excited over this upgrade by Wells Fargo.
Speaking of Wells Fargo, they are getting downgraded by Macquarie here this morning, and stock is trading down 11 cents here in the pre-market. It has been kind of breaking down, had a big breakdown day there yesterday for Wells. I guess Macquarie's looking at that, saying there's a lot of air below here, and it does look like that on the chart.
Yeah, it's this quietly. We haven't looked at this stock in quite a long time here. Looking at the low 40.62, you had a low at 40.64 on Friday, so you can use that as a minor resistance point. There you're getting down into a gap area. Going to be at a gap back at the end of June here, so if it can't pop right quickly back over that 40.60 level, probably come down and test the point here at 40. That's a big number here. Probably some institutional level as well. But not a good looking chart, boy. This thing is, man. When I look at these charts, are like Exxon Mobil and
Yeah,
Wells Fargo
some of the
and
top
J&J
components.
and Procter and Gamble. I mean, these things they're looking sick.
Yeah, some of them don't look that great. We were saying that yesterday as well. Bring up a chart that does look better. Yahoo, YHOO. Stock continues to march here. It's up again this morning. It's up another 50 cents here. Stifel Nicholas raising their price target from 33 to 41. Stock made a high 2 days ago, 35.06. That's about 40 cents away from here, but that's kind of the bogey that I'm looking at, where you might find some initial resistance on this one. But who knows? This march just might continue, and it could blow right through there.
Yeah, that's just kind of marching up quietly. Did get a spike after the close to 34.84, but since that upgrade, the highest you've been 34.65. Just kind of a slow rally here in the pre-market. Pretty big move though, 50 cents. Isn't that pretty big for Yahoo in the pre-market with the kind of volume
Yeah,
that
60,
thing
70
trades?
cents, that's usually the range. So you're getting, sometimes you can get an outside range where you can get upwards to a buck, which would put it up near that high. So I could see that potentially happening, but I don't think it's got the gas to get through that high there today, that 35.06, because that would put it up 95 cents on the day. And this isn't an upgrade, this is just a target raise. So
Okay,
those are
okay.
affected differently. Like often you'll see a 2-3% move in an upgrade. Usually when they raise a price target, it might have a 1 to 2% move, which is kind of what it's already got. So I think a lot of this price target move is priced in here for Yahoo.
Okay, just keep an eye, Dennis. 35.10. If you've been holding on to the stock for 7+ years, back in February 2006, you did hit 35.10. So that $35 level,
Wow.
major long-term 7-year resistance level.
Let's look at AT&T and Verizon. We talked about them yesterday on the show that they were going ex-dividend this morning. We thought they might show some relative strength yesterday, and holy cow, they did. Both stocks were actually green on the day, so they were buying it ahead of the dividend. Once again, the ex-dividend play, buying ahead of it, works. Starting with AT&T, because you got that one on the screen, closed at 34, had the dividend overnight, so the adjusted close, so it was a 45-cent dividend. The adjusted close is 33.55. So stock's trading at 33.60, so it's actually up a nickel here right now in the pre-market. What's your technical level saying on this one?
Yeah, I think we were a little tapping off that 33.60 level. We were, because it had bounced off it so many times.
Yeah.
We were looking to play it if it got a little bit lower, and it didn't. So nice job there accumulating, the stock there, 3 lows between 33.60, 33.63. I think the people are going to capture that dividend. If they're out, they're going to be out on the close here, right at this 33.50, 33.60 level. So if it doesn't open up there, get above there, I think you might see a little bit of sell-off in the issue today. And then I think, start going up 33.70, 80, 90, I think you'll see substantial offers there from your short-term dividend players.
Let's look at Verizon here too. It had a 53-cent dividend here overnight, so the adjusted close closed at 47.29, but your adjusted close is 46.76. Stocks, they're doing pretty good here in the pre-market of Verizon because it's trading up at 46.95 right now. So if they took the dividend, obviously they bought yesterday near the open. The stock ran up for them a nice 60, 70 cents. Plus now they get the dividend, and it's actually trading up here 20 cents here in the pre-market. So the dividend capture strategy looks like it's working out okay for the Verizon players right now.
Yeah, it had all those resistance around 47, and it busted through there. Had a nice rally, sold off a little bit at the close, but only 34 cents, trading down 34 cents, 47.29. That would be the mark from yesterday. There, you'd be getting the dividend as well as making money on the stock. So I think that resistance will reform in the 47s, low 47s.
We had two stocks reporting earnings tonight. We actually did talk about both of these yesterday, coincidentally. Alcoa reporting earnings here tonight, so they'll kick off earnings season. And you also have Yum Brands, which is going to report tonight. Start with Alcoa here. Here we are on Alcoa. $8 has been kind of just hanging out, but one of the most boring stocks here to trade because it usually has a 10 or 15 cent range. Obviously, after the earnings, these are the two bogeys that I'm going to look at. If they, just have a horrible report here and it doesn't look good, you had a low of 763, which has been the low on the move back on July 3rd. If the stock starts to break out and the report looks good, then I'd look back to a couple highs we saw at 828 and 829 back in mid-August.
Yeah, the major lows in the 780s right here. The last four lows between 782 and 789 hit 784 yesterday. So I'd move a support ahead of that 763 up to the 784 level. Coming back on the upside, Dennis, I'd jump ahead a little bit ahead you here. 806 was the high Friday, 807 Wednesday. So I think if you get another 6-7 cent rally, at least today, you'll find resistance in Alcoa.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're talking about is today. I was actually talking about after the earnings report. So
Okay.
I think we've given you two good numbers. Joel's giving you the numbers if you're trading this thing today. I'm kind of giving you some outside numbers because usually you'll get a 5 to 6% or even a 7 or 8% move off of Alcoa earnings here. So I think you'll probably get outside of that range in either direction depending on obviously what the report says once it comes out tonight. Yum Brands will also report here. 71.43 is where it's trading right now. It's kind of been drifting up. We've bounced off that whole 70 support level. We've put in 4 higher lows here in consecutive days, and I believe 3 higher highs here for the last 3
Yeah.
days. Where do you think this one? How's this one shaping
This
up?
72 level is just the bogey here on the upside. Got to 71.79 yesterday, 68 on Friday, and then you go back to last week, 71.86, 71.74. So someone's really trying to wiggle out of this thing as close to 72 as possible. So if they're selling, ahead of earnings here, I'd look for still wouldn't get faked out if this thing went to 71.95 or even 72 even today. Just there's too many tops up there to I think it's easy to identify a seller. Coming back on the downside here, you've had a string of 3 higher lows, so I keep eyeing that 70.89 level. That was high from yesterday. If you're trying to lock in profits and don't feel like riding this thing into earnings.
Let's move back to the overall market here. We've drifted up a couple of points since we started the show. Well, actually, we're kind of down a point since we started the show. 1669.50, so we're just under the 1670 area. So obviously we've got support pretty well defined at 1663. Resistance isn't quite as well defined to me though. Like when I'm looking at this,
Nope.
it gets a little bit dicey in the 1670s where there really isn't that much until you get into the higher 1670s, almost to 1680s. So I'm not sure if I'd be coming in here and selling this.
Yeah,
Open.
I mean, if you're selling this thing, on this rally here, reference point would be the overnight high 71.50. That's 50 cents above a key swing number in today's trading. But it's sticking out in my mind. We did take out those lows in the pre-market here. We are 7 points above it, so technically, the support has been broken. The new low of the move, not by much. So, look for it to peel back, try and test that bottom again, and if it breaks through that 1662.75, then we could have a bad day on the street.
That's our show for today, guys. Have a great day, and back at you tomorrow morning.